there's the Sane. So right around the Sane, I'll be sure to point it out, the supermarket. That's where the Koza Riots actually started. So I think, until recently, people had said that the Koza Riots were just spontaneous, like there was no planning whatsoever, and they just sort of happened. Recently, it's just about the 50 years after it happened, and some people have come out and said, like, we planned it. I'm not sure if they are lying or not, but until recently, it's been thought that it was just a spontaneous action that happened. So what happened with the riots is, if you guys can see the Sane, and there's a hotel right next to it. So right around this area, the first thing that happened is there's a car accident. So there's a drunk driver American hits a drunk Okinawan. Nobody is terribly injured, but of course the military police and of the regular Japanese police come to assess the situation. So prior to the accident happening, that evening, so it's in December 20th, I believe, December 20th, 1970, there had been a big protest. So there had been, what was the big protest about? I can't quite remember what specifically the protest was about, but there was a very big protest near here against the American military government. So there were a lot of people drinking out here, a higher number than normal, and they were kind of riled up. So if you know this area, so if you look down that way is the Japanese drinking area. So it runs parallel to this street. So there's a lot of Japanese people drinking in this area. So when the accident happens over here, there's a lot of people who come, they're riled up, they're drunk, and so they start getting upset. And they think that once again, the American military police are just gonna take away the American, give him a slap on the hand, and just let him go. And they have reason for this. So during the period of American control, there were at least two very high-profile incidences where Americans were driving and then they hit Okinawans, and then they were just told, oh, it was an accident, you're not going to be punished for it. Most recently to that, in 1970, an Okinawan woman in Itoman, she's walking down the street, an American service member runs a red light, hits the Okinawan woman. He says, oh, the sun was so bright I couldn't see that the sign was red, and he got away with it. So no punishment at all for killing the Okinawan woman. So people come.
It's true, so I can't see it online.
Yeah. But so that kind of happens over and over and over in Okinawa. So they don't believe the police are going to take care of things. So after that happens, just by chance, there's a little while later, there's a mixed couple. So an American man is walking with his Okinawan girlfriend, and people start harassing them. So the MPs put them in a police car just to protect them, but the crowd misunderstands, thinks that they're somehow involved in the incident, and that they're going to go back on base and not be punished at all. So people start getting more and more upset, and they start basically lighting cars on fire and flipping them over and just going down the streets and doing that. So they head that way towards Lycum, and then they also head that way towards Gate 2. And so basically just finding cars. I've heard that a lot of the women who are working in bars, they prepare Molotov cocktails, give them to the men, and then they're flipping over the cars and setting them on fire. A little while later, another person, an American's driving, someone jumps out in front of his car, so he swerves and he hits another car. The police come for that. The crowd's already riled up, so they start attacking the American's car. In order to help things calm down, the American MP starts firing shots in the air. You know, it's already a drunk and riled up crowd. Firing shots in the air probably not going to calm down the people, and in fact it did not calm down the people at all, so they get even more riled up, and it just continues down. So eventually the Okinawans actually broke into Gate 2 and set part of Gate 2 on fire. There used to be an elementary school over there, so they set the elementary school on fire, and so they had the firefighters in there, and they go down close to the Raikum area. I think by about 6 a.m. everything was resolved. So in total, I believe it was about 82 different cars were damaged during the riot. Yeah, mostly private cars. So at that time, just like now, how cars held by people with SOFA have the Y on it, they had a different license plate, so it was very easy to see who was involved. So they damaged a lot of private cars, but they even damaged an American fire truck. No one was killed in the riot, which is fortunate, and I think about over 20 people were arrested for it, but there were no deaths. So that was good in a sense. It was just purely damage. I think it was just a lot of emotion, and it all came out, and it ended up at that. Yeah.
Didn't they also go to the USO?
Yeah. The USO also, yeah, which was across from
inside the gate.
yeah, inside the gate. So they actually broke inside the gate and got in there. Yeah. I have a whole bunch of pictures, so I'll just pass them down, and you guys can take a look at them and see what kind of damage was done. So mostly private property, that sort of thing. So in terms of riots, I think a better riot than in general, but still, although I can understand why they did it, I think it's never good to hurt personal property of other people. That being said, so recently it just came out. So there's this movie. It's called Takarajima in English, or Heroes Island. So it is a movie about the Koza Riots. It's in theaters now. It's 3 hours, so it's really long. I haven't seen it myself yet, but it just came out on the 19th. I might go see it. I might wait till video so I can watch it at home. But yeah, so there is a movie about it in Japanese media, and I think it will get a lot more attention because I think most people outside of Okinawa have probably never heard of the Koza Riot before. Any questions on the riots or anything about that era? Okay, one more thing I wanted to point out, perfect timing. So as we get on the expressway, you will notice that we will be passing a hotel on the left. So that hotel, it used to be a soccer field, and then it stopped being a soccer field when they found tanks of like poison chemicals in the ground. So apparently it was also inside the base too. It was kind of on the elementary school playground area. I had a student whose kids were in elementary school when that happened, and he said they sent out a letter being like, don't worry, it's not too horrible chemicals, it's okay. But yeah, there were chemicals found there, and then there was a long argument between the US and Japanese governments about whose responsibility it was to clean it up. So the field sat there for quite a while, and then recently they just built that hotel. So this hotel, this area right here is where they found all the chemicals in the ground. Personal opinion, I wouldn't recommend you or your family members staying there, but that's just my personal opinion. But I think there's probably going to be lots of finding more of chemicals in the future, yeah.